Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Estate QuickBooks for Real Estate Investors. This is part 6 of our video series, and we just entered in some fixed asset accounts for our buildings. But most of you may know this, or you may not, but I think most of you do, that buildings are separate from land. And we want to keep track of the value of our land as well as the value of our buildings. When you buy real estate, the cost of that is generally wrapped up into one. So your sales price of a two-family might be $100,000. You're not necessarily buying the land for 20 and the building for 80, but there is a breakdown and an allocation of land and buildings in any piece of real estate. So we want to keep track of the value of our land as well, because a key concept in accounting is that land is not depreciable, which means that land does not wear out over time, where a bathroom in a building will wear out over time, and if it doesn't, it will certainly become outdated over time, making the bathroom less desirable and thus worth less money. So it's important, at least from an accounting perspective, to keep the land separate so that we don't depreciate something that isn't depreciable. Because if you try to depreciate land with the IRS, they're not going to like that. So I'm going to show you how to set up the land accounts, just like we did the building accounts, which are fixed assets. We're going to do our land accounts, which are also fixed assets. So I'm here in the chart of accounts in my sample company. I get there by hitting Control A. I'll just escape out of there so you can see that. So Control A, and then I maximize, and then I do Control N to get to the new account window. If that's too quick for you, you also have the menu here down in the bottom left where you can go Account and then New. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to select Fixed Asset, and you'll notice here on the other side, QuickBooks gives a little description here. It says Land, which is right what we want, so we know we're in the right spot. I'm going to click Continue. And now, this account name here. Remember, as in part 5, I gave you some tips or some ideas for how you can segregate your portfolio. For some of you larger investors, it will be residential and commercial. For some people, it might just be buildings. For other people, it might be a specific area. So you could say, I gave the example of a neighborhood if you wanted to do it that way. But whatever accounts you've created for your building accounts, you have to have matching accounts for your land accounts. So you can't have residential buildings as a fixed asset without residential land as a fixed asset, because land and buildings come together. So I'm going to call this residential land. For those of you who are just doing buildings, you just put land in here. That's great. If you've got 15 properties and you've got buildings and land, that's all the further you need to go, then I would leave it at that. I don't think you need to get too much more complicated than 1 or 2 or possibly 3 accounts for your buildings, for your fixed asset holdings. The only other one that you might have would be an industrial. I don't think many investors here are owning industrial property. But beyond residential, commercial, and industrial as your general segregators of fixed asset properties, of your fixed assets, I wouldn't go too deep. And the reason is because we can use another tool called the class system to better understand where our assets lie. And I'm going to show you that if you keep watching later in this video series. So for now, we're going to stick with residential and commercial for this example, and I've got to match up my previously created building accounts with my now being created land accounts. So I've entered residential land. It's not a sub-account. Do not put this under residential buildings, because land and buildings are something that are separate. Description, we can say land of everything fewer than 4 units or fewer, and not exclusively commercial. Save and close. That's it. So now I've got residential buildings and residential land right next to each other. I'm going to do the same process for my commercial. I'm going to Control N, fixed assets, Control Enter to move to the next screen. Account name is going to be commercial land. Description, anything. Is it 4 units? Yeah, I screwed that up. Anything 4 units or greater, excuse me, or exclusively commercial. Okay. Commercial is 4 units or above. I mixed that up in my residential description, so I'll have to change that. So commercial land, save and close. Boom, there we go. Commercial buildings and commercial land right next to each other. And residential land and residential buildings right next to each other. I'm going to fix that description and then on the other account. So I'm going to go Control E, which opens that account to edit. Also, I can go down to the bottom menu, account, and then edit account, which is noted here. Control E is also the shortcut. Land of everything 3 units or fewer. And I'm going to change my buildings as well, my residential buildings, because I screwed that up in the last video. So anything 3 units or less. And then I'm going to change commercial buildings as well, so that it's anything greater than anything 4 units or greater. Okay, so I just changed those descriptions. So the point is here we've got fixed asset accounts for our commercial buildings and our commercial land, and we've got fixed asset accounts for our residential buildings and our residential land. Alright, that's it for this part. I will see you again in the next part. Leave me a comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, let me know how I'm doing. And if you need help with something, I will be happy to make a video for you. Thanks for watching.